This right here is the camera setup that I have been using for YouTube for quite some time now. It is the Canon 800D slash Canon T7i, and it's got a little Takstar microphone on top of it. This is like a $35 shotgun microphone that is comparable to the more expensive versions, like a Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, like what I'm using right now. And I upgraded from this year to the Sony A7IV with the Rode VideoMic because why wouldn't I? And I want to talk about the exact things that I like about the Sony A7IV. I never got around to making a video about the A7IV because, first of all, it's hard to make a video about the A7IV when you're using it to film all of your stuff now. So I could like sit here with a mirror and point at it, but instead of doing that, I'm just going to make a more laid back video talking about what the A7IV gives me that a beginner camera like this does not, because there are a lot of people that are looking to get into videography or just creating content for themselves, usually social media, YouTube. That's more the type of stuff I see, and might be wondering why spend, $2,500 on a camera when I could spend 600, 700, 800, something like that. So the first thing I get with the A7IV that I did not get with this entry-level DSLR is quite simply 4K. I record in 4K now, and that is just something that I was really hesitant about about doing for a very long time, but I finally come around to the point where I at least want to be recording everything in 4K, because I'll still put a lot of my videos up in only 1080p maximum, but it allows me that extra flexibility in editing the video so that I can punch in up to 200% and still not lose the full HD quality. So that's a big thing, just having 4K. Also, this year, if you're brand new to the channel and haven't been subscribed like all the other cool people that are watching this is the first year that I've been doing any sort of real videography work in terms of weddings, a couple of like short films, commercials, things of that nature. So 4K is pretty much just imperative for all of that in 2022 and moving forward. The second thing about the Sony A7IV that I really liked, which isn't necessarily untrue about this, but the A7IV is really made to be one of the better hybrid cameras on the market, meaning really good for photos and videos. Not necessarily the best for either, but really good for both. So it has all the video capabilities that I really wanted it to or expected it to have, in terms of being able to shoot in 4K, being able to shoot in 120 frames at 1080p, being able to shoot in log, which is going to be the next point actually, and so on and so forth. And it takes really good pictures. Now, I myself am not too much of a photographer. I can't go super into detail about that, but I do know that my thumbnails look a heck of a lot better than they used to look when I was using this camera, which is probably not only because of the A7IV, but because I learn a little bit more about photography every single time I take a picture. Let's talk about log profiles, like I just mentioned. So if you don't already know what a log profile is, it's basically just this flat picture profile that makes your colors in your video look really weird, but the point of it is that it actually captures all of the color information, and it just makes it not look that good in camera or straight out of camera, but gives you a lot more flexibility when you're trying to color grade it later in post. This camera cannot do that, and as a filmmaker, one of the things that I'm wanting to do all the time, whether it's with my own videos, a wedding video, a video that I'm just doing for fun for somebody else, a client video, whatever the case is that I want to be getting better at doing videography. And it was really hard to do that when I couldn't learn much about color grading log footage because I couldn't get log footage. So with the A7IV, with the A7S3, the A7 III, you can go backwards a couple of cameras and still have log footage, but that's something that you probably don't get on an entry-level DSLR that you will get on some of the higher end, like $2,000 plus cameras. The Sony A7IV is also full frame, which this guy is not. Now, there's a lot of, not even really debate, but a lot of discussion around whether or not full frame is entirely necessary, and there are a lot of really good cinema cameras that are not full frame. There are micro four thirds sensors and there are APS-C sensors. This guy is an APS-C sensor. The A7IV is a full frame. Really, the benefit to full frame is that it does look better overall. If you want to put it very vaguely like that, it is going to give you that better look, and it's also going to give you more flexibility in lenses a little bit, although when you get into the micro four thirds cameras and APS-C cameras, or lenses that are built with those in mind. So for example, I'm not sure if I can do it. Hang on a second, I need to look at the button. I don't have the button set up, so never mind, but basically APS-C would just punch in in further into the image. Again, that's not that big of a deal, but it is kind of a big deal when you're buying a camera, whether or not you're getting full frame APS-C or micro four thirds. All of them can be good. The biggest like real benefit to full frame is that they're always going to be better in low light. Being someone that is shooting a lot of weddings, you do find yourself in low light situations, or you do find yourself in a lot of situations where you don't have control over what the lighting is going to be. So before I bought the A7 IV, I had actually bought a micro four thirds camera. It was the Panasonic GH5, and I liked that camera quite a bit, but it struggled with low light or anything where it wasn't just broad daylight, or I didn't have any control over the lighting. So that's another benefit that it has over the APS-C sensor. And that's honestly about it as far as how this camera really shines over this one. Now, there's a couple of other reasons that I like the A7 IV and that I like the Sony system. First of all, a lot of people that I've met and started working with use the Sony system, so being familiar with it and being able to take my camera to other events where people maybe need a second shooter or whatever, it's really nice having a Sony camera. And also the lens choices for it are pretty good. I know that the general consensus is that Canon glass is the best glass out there, and Canon glass is actually pretty ubiquitous with it being used on Blackmagic cameras just as well. But having Sony E-mount lenses, they're very ubiquitous, and I can usually go and work with another videographer, and maybe if I have a lens that they don't and they're shooting Sony, well, then I can use my lens, of course. And it also makes it really easy to sell old lenses that you don't want to use anymore, all that type of thing. Whereas a lens like this guy that's on the Canon camera here, like, you're not really going to sell this lens for all that much resale really at all. This is the kit lens, needless to say. If you like this video or like videos similar to this one, hopefully I can make a little bit better of one the next time, but please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, that you're liking the videos, because that sends the little signals into my brain like, hey, people actually like this stuff. You should make sure you keep putting effort into it. If there's anything that I left unanswered, please ask questions below. I answer every single comment, and until I'm back next week, hopefully, I don't know, go film stuff, go take photos, go do fun things, and I will do the same.